tuatahira ngā mihi nui ki a koe, kiritapu kei taku whanaunga, nau mai ki tēnei hōtaka, ka whakapāho atu ki runga I ngā whārangi pukamata o Ngāti Ranginui. Tēnā tuatahira I te whanaunga, whakamohio mai ki te hunga kai mātaki, ko wai koe, no hea koe?
Tēnā koe e te whanange, ripika o tira kia koutou, kia tātou, ngā uri o Ngāti Ranginui, o tauranga moana hoki, tēnā koutou, he uri tēnei, o ngā hapu o Ngāti Ranginui, Ngāi te rangi, ko Kiritapu Allan tōku ingoa, he uri tēnei o te piri rākau, mai te marae o Paparoa, en koau he member o Parimata o te Ropu Reipa. Tēnā koutou.
Tēnā rau atu koe. Hey, I just wanted to talk to you about, obviously, this weird and wonderful...
Sorry, going to have guest appearances in and out of the corridor. Kei te pai?
Ko wai koe, Pepe?
Koe doing my papa? Kia kaha? Ko hiwa I te rangi taia ramarihi, Allan Coates, tēnei.
Kia ora, te kohanga reo o te teko. Hey, I just want to talk to you, you know, how's your guys' bubble going over there? What's it been like for you?
Oh, look, it's been filled with what no doubt all the rest of our whānau throughout the rohe feeling. It's had its ups, it's had its downs, it's had its all around. It's been, yeah, you just met my new colleague. She's 2.5 and wondering what the heck is going on. But no, it's, look, on the upside, it's been great spending more time with our tamariki and with our whānau. Just being here at home, I think it's the longest stretch ever that I've personally done under one roof in years. So that's been really, really nice. I don't know if the whānau think the same.
Have you acquired any new cooking skills along the way? Or learned yoga poses or anything?
No yoga, but I can make it pretty okay. Homemade KFC, I reckon. And those roast skills have come along. But no, it's look. I tell you what, it's been it's really interesting. Just I guess being in touch with a lot of our whānau throughout the motu, really, to look at how different hapu whānau are getting through and looking after our kuia, our kaumātua, our Pākeke, and our tamariki. You know, it's been a big reset and reshift for us all. And I guess look, I deal with thousands of people every week, kind of sharing some of the hardships and also some of the challenges and some of the areas where they think that things are going pretty well. And what I can say is that exceptionally, whānau Māori, man, we know it already, but you know, man, we've bloomin' stepped up to the plate to look after our people, and I just couldn't be prouder to be, you know, just to be an uri o tauranga moana and just to be Māori in this time, because the way that we exercise our tikanga, manaakitanga, and all those types of things to make sure that our whānau are getting through. And you know, part of this is a part of that. It's making sure that our whānau have access to the right information to help them help us all get through. So yeah, to be Māori.
Yeah, what's been really interesting is that despite us as a whānau or as a iwi or as Māori people or even as a nation, no one's ever been through this in their lifetime, to be fair, you know, like no one's ever been through something like this. So what's been interesting is seeing the Māori response, which actually I'm not surprised about.
Yeah. Oh, totally. You know, look, this is, I guess it's drilled into who we are, eh? You know, we look after our whenua, we look after our whānau. That is at the core of who we are and what we do. I think, look, you know, where my turanga is over here in the East Coast, so it's kind of comes in from Paengaroa and then goes up to Te Araroa, drops down to Mantuke, and then you've got all of Ngāi Tūhoi with the Uriweras and Kauro and those and Pōtiki. Some of the things that we've seen, for example, is just on both sides of my cape, I've had iwi out there, actually, you know, making sure that with community checkpoints up and down, because we've got really vulnerable populations, and working with the police and working with civil defence and working with councils to make sure that those practices are done in a healthy way, all through Tauranga Moana. You know, it's the iwi that's running the testing stations and the health checks and things like that. It's our people that are out there distributing the kai. I think I see my uncle every day cooking his happy puku kai for the whānau, and you know that's who we are. That's what we do. So that's the immediate response. I think, you know, Rebecca, some of the things that weigh on my mind at the moment, a couple of things. One, where our whānau are, where we tend to operate, a lot of our people are essential workers, so can be quite vulnerable in this time. So that weighs on my mind quite a lot. Are we doing enough to make sure that our whānau are sweet? And the second thing that weighs on my mind a lot is the whole world is resetting. The whole world is resetting in terms of our economy and the things that can sustain us globally, and that's going to have a massive impact here locally. And now, you know, you and I, my dad used to work at AFCO over there, Rangi, and they were part of that lot. They all got laid off in the 80s, and that was another time. That was the last time that we had a major economic reset. You know, all my workers up here in the meatworks and the forestry and those large industries that have sustained our whānau. Well, when we go through these economic resets, my thoughts always, who's going to be most impacted by this? How do we ensure that we are doing what we can to ensure that our whānau at the forefront aren't going to be the first persons to be fired, or those industries that have sustained our whānau? How can we make sure that we're providing the right wraparound and support for that? So that's playing a lot on my mind in my caucus. Of a lot to do with the sort of the economic side of how we think about regional employment, jobs, infrastructure, all that sort of stuff. So that's sort of where my mind's going to now. Is we've just heard from the Prime Minister. We're going to be, it's looking like we're shifting to level 3 on, when is it, the 27th on Monday, so just after Anzac weekend, and then we're going to sit there for another couple of weeks. And that whole time, those big industries that sustain us over in Tauranga Moana, you know, the port will be like, be really looking at how many people it can get back and how fast it can do so. That'll all be dependent on the primary industries. So that's our, you know, our farmers, our orchardists, it's our forestry. So now it's really thinking about that. One, keeping our whānau safe when they're getting back into mahi, and two, making sure that the industries that have sustained our people remain viable. And if they're not, because there's going to be a lot of industries that will fall over, that's the inevitability, we know that. And if they're not, then how do we make sure that we are retraining and redeploying to other industries that will be sustainable in the post-COVID world?
I know that you're part of a special government group that's been essentially focused on the government's response to COVID-19. And one thing I did want to bring up to you, just after you've talked about it, was business, but especially our small to medium businesses. You know, do you have any advice, or have you spoken about that on your within your group and with your colleagues at Parliament?
Yeah, look, small to medium-sized businesses, I mean, that's really where it's at for whānau Māori now, eh? You know, a lot of our people are working for small to medium-sized businesses, and that was a big impact, and that's been a big impact for what I just mentioned about what happened in the 80s. You know, that's what is the backbone of our modern-day economy. So, yeah, look, that's a huge, big focus for us right now. What kind of support do we need to be wrapping around our small to medium-sized business so that they can sustain and thrive? We've had a lot of economists. So we sit for about 3 days every week at the moment whilst we're in lockdown, and always one of those days is dedicated to the economy, and we get in a lot of different economists to come and talk to us about what the economic opportunities are and the risks are. Now, one thing that is unanimous amongst a lot of thinking is that the way that we support small to medium-sized businesses, one, to be able to want to stay in business because they feel like that the barriers for them to be in business that's really what we need to be striking as a government, that we're incentivizing small businesses to stay and keep operating. So tomorrow, actually, on at the select committee, we sit from 10 to about 1:30. We have the Minister for Small Business, the Honourable Stuart Nash. He'll be on talking about the types of things that we have already done for small businesses. Obviously, there's a wage subsidy, there's been the business support package, relief support package. There's been some taxation relief and whatnot, but there will be more, and he'll be talking a little bit about that. We also have Employment Minister, the Honourable Willie Jackson. He'll be talking a lot about what does job redeployment look like, or retraining to make sure that that folks are fit for purpose to go into whatever industries are going to be sustaining our economy moving forward. And we also have the Minister, the Finance Minister, the Honourable Grant Robertson. He'll be coming in to give us a bit more of that big picture think tank stuff. So what are all the, they call them micro and macro kind of drivers that, or tools that they'll be relying on to try and sustain our economy. One thing was good thing, that we were in a pretty sweet spot before this crisis hit. We were at about, our debt levels really low, so under 20%, which for a country in the OECD, very, very good, you know, compared to some of our contemporaries that we look at. The UK, they're in 70% plus debt for their levels of GDP. So we were in a fiscally pretty sweet spot. But now we're divvying out cash, and that's the way that the role that our government's going to have to play is being a big backstop for a lot of our small to medium-sized businesses, but also our broader economy as we move forward. So you'll hear a lot of talk right now, people on the hunt for shovel-ready projects. For example, one, you know, that's okay. If there are industries that are about to flop, the government need to be able to stimulate other work projects so that we're getting people from whatever industries that aren't working into what we can. But that's just a part of the solution. There's a lot of other big thinking that needs to be done around the right tools to be able to incentivize small businesses to stay in business. And there's a lot of options floating around at the moment, but that will be a big part of our budget focus moving forward. And ordinarily in this time of the year, we'd be talking about the budget coming into election year. Yeah. You know, things have been a little bit skew-whiffy.
That's literally like the only lockup I think most of the Parliament, the press gallery's been in ever, the budget lockup. I'm just going to turn on this light because you know, I'm on the darker shade of brown. It's my Tuhoi side, so I need some light to see myself. I didn't get my mum's mask in. So some practical advice for our small to medium business owners: stay in touch with Ministry of Social Development, perhaps business.gov.nz, and I think also manaki.io.
Yeah, and MB also, you've got so NZTE, New Zealand Trade and Enterprise. They're really working to provide wraparound support services to any small to medium-sized businesses with a trade and export focus. And we had NZTE before the committee last week to ask them what kinds of things that they were doing. A lot of support and relief packages there. Manaki are doing an exceptional job. MB have been set up to drive. And MSD for any of that immediate relief sort of stuff. But as well, you know, if you've got real key issues and things that are on your mind, let us know. I get contacted all day, every day by businesses putting their lens on what's going on. And we're having those conversations all the time. So, you know, if people feel like they can be bothered or, you know, want to help inform our views, we're really welcoming people just to get in touch.
Kapai. In terms of, I know the government announced before we went into lockdown, or maybe the couple of days into lockdown, a $55 million package specifically targeted at helping Māori. Part of that was and has been used for, you know, like whānau order packages. I think at last count it was in the thousands that have been delivered. I think a few from Matapihi have received their 1 litre of hand sanitizer and a couple of rolls of toilet paper, but it's good. can you talk a little bit about that and how important it was for the government to provide that support?
Yeah, look, for us, you know, making sure that our people are provided for is always key. And that's one of just a multiple plethora of options, I think. So that was a targeted specific, came through from the Minister of Whānau Order in conjunction with all of those Māori ministerial portfolios and primarily a whānau water package. But then I guess like if we look at some of the broader measures as well, we had a permanent rise in our, for example, all of our benefits, they increased over this period of time. Minimum wage has gone up. We've had the winter payments, those have massively increased. We've also had the wage subsidy. 1.5 million New Zealanders have benefited from that wage subsidy, and that's included so many whānau Māori, industry specific. Like for example, I was a big part of driving a big forestry initiative, and that was just $26 million just in my backyard. So there's a whole range of pockets of cash which are really putting out, making sure they are whānau at the centre. And look, I think something that I'll talk about, I guess, a couple of things. So first of all is that right now, I mentioned that we're coming up to like a budget, but that sounds weird because we've been making so many budgetary announcements, but we are still, nevertheless, we will have a budget. I'm expecting that there'll be our Māori caucus at least is definitely working on a targeted specific Māori budget. So that will be that will continue to go ahead, of course. But as well, like I said, there's so many opportunities for our whānau to be across the leadership tables, across so many different tables that are sitting right now to ensure that Māori voices are at the main table making decisions about where the redirection is going and showing leadership to ensure that we make benefiting, not just at an advisory kind of committee off to the side, but we're part of the main share of voices at the main table, putting up the case effectively for how significant and important our leadership and our voices are. And I'll use an example. Last week we had Iwi Radio present at the media day. We interviewed media from all different outlets. They came along and spoke to the committee about the impacts of COVID on the media sector moving forward, what the industry would look like. One thing that the Iwi Radio chair put up, Peter Lucas on behalf of Iwi Radio as well, hey, look, you know, we have relationships in every single rural community. We are, you know, relied upon by whānau up and down this country, and we have the relationships and networks and the capacity to deliver good, grounded, solid, you know, news from these rural communities. Well, there are agreements, there are relationships, shared content agreements between all of those major outlets and Iwi Radio, but often Iwi Radio are only seen as a recipient of content as opposed to a provider of content. Well, if the whole media industry is going for a reshape, I don't want to just see our Māori off to like an advisory group off to the side. I want to make sure that our people, our leaders within that sector at the main table conducting the reform alongside the Stuffs and the New Zealand Herald and the you know, the media works and so forth. And that's what I mean. I think that this creates an opportunity. There's huge risks too if we aren't at those various tables for our people, I think. And it's our job to protect against that. But also there's so much opportunity for our people to renegotiate, not even renegotiate, re-put ourselves where we should be in order to make sure that, yeah, it's not just reclaim that space and stuff. That's right. And why not? No, why not? Because time and time again, whether it's in crisis, the leadership that we continue to show across any type of, through any crisis at the very least, is proven to be relied upon every single time to support our whānau. Not just our whānau, but to support New Zealand. Everyone. So, put us where we should be.
Front and centre.
Front and centre.
On Prime Minister Ardern's announcement about moving the country into Alert Level 3 next week on the 27th of April, for some whānau, I know there'll be a little bit of grey areas and even anxiety about what to do. Can you give us any kōrero or advice around that, you know?
Look, I think first I want to acknowledge that there is of course a lot of apprehension, both ways probably. One about coming out too fast, and whether our whānau might be at more risk than what we want them to be. And the secondly is that we're coming out too slow, and our whānau weren't going to be able to get back to the mahi that they needed to get back to feel secure about paying the bills and those types of things. So I just want to acknowledge that it would have been an extraordinarily hard decision that the Prime Minister and colleagues had to make today. And what I said to colleagues of mine earlier is, regardless of the outcome of the determination about when they will make a decision to transition from level 4 to level 3, what we do know and what we can absolutely trust is that whatever the outcome, it will be based on a whole range of evidence that supports the decision at what time, when and how. And when I listened to the Prime Minister's announcement at 4 o'clock today, I could hear her literally reciting kind of fact after figure after fact after figure about she knows exactly what the consequences of her decision are going to be. And we can trust that approach to go hard, to go early, will enable us some flexibility to come out. But she only wants to come out of level 4 once. So if that means that we're in level 3, which is still very restricted for a couple of weeks or 3 weeks, well, that's what they consider on balance is the best for all of us. So I think that we can trust that is the best case situation, and all the information that has come before us shows that New Zealand really is leading the world when it comes to our COVID response. And it looks like we're going to keep on doing just that.
Yeah, and do you know what? I think you could really feel that from her when we were watching that press conference. You know, you could really hear a pin drop, to be fair. And we both know, like, what that kind of situation or that feeling, what it would have been like in the and not the gallery, sorry, at Parliament at that time when she made that announcement. I mean, she does not take those decisions lightly.
That's right.
And you can see it.
Yeah, you can see it, you can feel it, you can hear it. Every single, I know what the Prime Minister's like when she's in a crisis. I spent a lot of time with her over the Whakaari disaster. And I know exactly how detail orientated she gets. She drills right into every aspect of the decision making to understand, so that she's confident when she delivers that message to the nation, and when she asks for our trust, to say that she can be confident and stand up, that she understands all the various different implications, outputs, and consequences. So I felt the taumahatanga on her shoulders this morning. I think we all did, and I got a lot of texts from just constituents throughout the country this morning going, "Oh, I wouldn't want to be heard right now." But when she delivered that message, I felt, she's looked at it through every single angle, and this is what she's come out on balance. So we're here to support that, and I think it was the right decision. It was a pragmatic one, and head off to her.
Yeah, we're going to wrap it there, but no doubt we are going to come and catch up with you again soon, because I actually know that there have been lots of questions from our tauranga whānau around what it means for us small to medium sized businesses. So I will be putting another tono into you in the next probably couple of days. But thank you. Yeah, thank you for your time. Do you have any final etahi kōrero mō ngā whānau o konei o Ngāti Ranginui o Ngāti Rangi me Ngāti Pukanga?
Yeah, tō tātou nei whānau whānui. Look, what I want to say is to all of those parents that have found themselves newly minted teachers, as well as home workers and all the things, just my cap off to all of you. It's a crazy time, and I see our whānau just adjust and do what needs to be done for those that are delivering kai to those in need, for those essential workers that haven't had the opportunity to stay at home, and you've done that for all of us. Can I just say that, you know, your service to all of us right now, we as a country couldn't have done what we've done so far without everyone playing their part. And I just think I just feel enormously, an enormous amount of gratitude to so many of our whānau, all throughout Tauranga Moana right now, doing your bit for our people. So, ka nui aku mihi, kia koutou o kunei, aurau rangatira.
Heoi anō, kei taku whanaunga, kei taku rangatira, te mewa kaitoranga pū o te rōpū reipa, Kiritapu Allan, all the way from Te Puna Rugby Clubs, tēnā rau atu koe.
Kia ora.